Hey guys, welcome to Startup Central. Today we got a very important guest. I'm gonna read an intro about him. We're getting right into it. So, Kevon Miller is a four-time entrepreneur with experience in marketing and web design. He is currently traveling the world with the success of his previous ventures. His latest venture is Loqol, which is one of the fastest-growing Discord channels in 2024. In 4 months, he has built a community of entrepreneurs to 2,400 plus with no chance of slowing down. Without further ado, let's welcome our guest, everybody.
Awesome.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you for the kind introduction. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I want to know real quick, like, how has the world class traveling been? Like, how has it been traveling the world?
It has been very enjoyable. It has been very um detrimental mentally for a
Really?
couple of reasons, and I'll jump into that in a moment. But overall, it really makes you start to just embrace like the present. And I think that's the biggest thing. I spend so much time strategizing, so much time planning out the next move, but traveling has taught me patience. It's taught me about just, enjoying what's going on right now. So I think that's, what's been going on with the traveling has really been a mental game overall.
Well, that's crazy. I'm curious, like, what's the favorite place you've been to? Like, and like, where have you been? Just kind of give the audience some like, where have you traveled to?
Sure. All right. So I've been to Thailand, Malaysia, Dubai, Bali, um, Philippines, Vietnam, and a bunch of other places. But to answer your first question, I think Thailand is kind of like my second home. I've been here for a while now. It's kind of the place that I come after I visit somewhere else. So
Really, you kind of find a home there, kind of.
yeah, I enjoy it. I just enjoy the convenience and being able to get around, and everything's dirt cheap. So I love that too.
That's super nice. That's super nice. So, kind of to introduce the audience to what you've done, because we introduced your background. I think anybody in the audience out there, all the startup entrepreneurs, is wondering how do you get to that point? Like, did you get to that point through your previous ventures, and you're in a place where you can have that financial freedom? Like, what led you to now start traveling the world?
So what introduced the idea and what introduced the lifestyle or concept of freedom was Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Work Week book. And, it talks about working 4 hours a week and just enjoying your time and enjoying your family and just your freedom. And I read that, and within a year, I built a company that went into six figures. And now I'm literally working 4 hours a week, if not less.
That's crazy, but I'm guessing it's very efficient 4 hours when you do work.
Well, it's a casual 4 hours. It's like maybe 10 seconds here telling somebody what to do, maybe checking an email and getting someone to do. So it's very split up. Never really focused, but if I brought all of that time together, like that's what it would be.
That's awesome. I think for the viewers out there, as a viewer, this is what I would want to know. Building a successful company, if you could kind of point to one thing in early stages, what would that be? Like, what is that one thing that led you to get to, where you got to with your last company?
Focusing on the profits. That has like two parts to it. So for one, obviously money is what makes the world go round, and that's what gets your business to grow, and that's a very important measurement in my opinion. And then number two is that people spend so much time focusing on the wrong things. They'll spend time focusing on how to make the product better when they have a very good product that has a lot of value. People spend so much time trying to optimize, trying to tweak, or they will spend so much time planning that they never, actually do something. So I think that's been the biggest thing for me. Before I even have a phone number, I have a client. Before I have, oh yeah, before I have the email set up, I have a client through Gmail, and that's important. Just focusing on the profits, getting that client, making sure everything's good or at least functionable to some extent, and then getting.
How did you see early success with the outreach? Because again, I think what's really cool is everybody that's probably watching this is a startup founder really trying to learn. So I like to pick your brain as well with it. So how did you get those initial clients? Because the first couple ones are the hardest, right? To get those testimonials. How did you get your first kind of client starting that business?
All right, so I have a lot of businesses, or I've had a lot of businesses, so that's difficult to answer, but I'll go at a more broad scope. Um, every every approach has been a bit different, but I'd say most importantly, it's been networking and building partnerships. So going to networking events, introducing yourself, letting people know what you do. Um, and before we even hopped on here, I was explaining to you that I used to go to several networking events. So like every single month, I probably went to between 30 to 50 networking events a month. And
A
that's
month.
where a month, a month.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
sometimes
Yeah.
three a day. So
Wow.
that's where I got my initial client base from when I started my first startup, which was a digital business card company. Um, and with my web and marketing agency, same thing, networking events, and just started adding everyone on like LinkedIn and just connecting with them.
Mhm.
So in-person
Yeah.
networking.
What? Let me ask you: Are you on the side of are you born an entrepreneur, or do you think it can be made over time? I think everybody's kind of that's the question, isn't it?
Yes, that is a question. I don't think I'm going to answer that directly for this reason. So I think that an entrepreneur, like if you are looking at the concept of what an entrepreneur is, right? It's like, okay, um, they have to fit this formula. Do you own your own business? Like, are you making money? If we sell something on Facebook Marketplace, we're an entrepreneur. So no matter what you do, if you make a trade, that's external of work, or if you make any amount of money, you're technically by definition an entrepreneur, right? And I believe that there are some people out there who want freedom, and I think entrepreneurship comes with that. I think it's that mindset or that concept of freedom that really sticks out. And I think some people are born and want to be free, and some people are born and don't want to make decisions, and they want other people to make decisions for them. So I think yes, there are some people who want to be born free, or who are born free, and then there are some people who just they trickle up on it
Yeah,
without knowing.
that's very interesting. I think too, there's a risk tolerance aspect too, where you definitely have to take a chance on yourself. And I
For
feel
sure.
like that first time is the hardest thing. A lot of people have all the skills. They even have a great idea. They even would have people to support them, but they just don't take that leap. It's that risk.
Yeah.
It's
That
tough, man.
that makes me so upset when people don't.
I know.
Like I probably take
But
it
those
more
people are
personally
usually the
than
best too, because like they'll be really good at like let's say it's that chef who wants to start content and they're so good
Mhm.
at cooking, and it's like if they just took a 6 months, their life could be changed. They don't want to. It's just it's hard to see, man. It really is.
I'd say I'm seeing like the flip side of that. I think the biggest issue that I typically have isn't necessarily that they're not taking a leap into like something that they're passionate about, but they're not allowing themselves to take that leap of faith into taking those big risks. So, for instance, it could be people who maybe won't reach out to someone to set up a meeting. It could be people who won't register their business or try to find that first client, like we mentioned. And I think the people who don't take that initial leap of faith, that is what bothers me. Because the chef, they've invested so many years into crafting their product or service, might you say. And yeah, that's just my little tangent.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot we can go into that. I'm really curious now to go into the community local. I think I have a ton of questions I've been wanting to ask you for a while. By the way, his Discord's been in the description, so go ahead and check it out. It's permanently there, so everybody go check it out. It's been fantastic for me. Yeah, absolutely. But what are the current like to start before you started the community? What were the current issues you saw in the marketplace that prompted you to kind of start local and build this community?
So years ago when I started my first startup, I couldn't find a community or anyone that could relate. It was a scenario where I was trying to bring everyone into believing in my vision. And it was like I was trying to raise an adult into seeing what's possible. Sometimes I have to do this practice with people where I will tell them, take a moment, look around at everything. I hate when people, but I also love when people tell me there's no opportunity. I say, take a look at everything around you. Every single thing is either a multi-million dollar or a multi-billion dollar business. This wall right here, this wall, someone built the concrete, multi-billion dollar company. Someone made the paint, multi-billion dollar company. Someone painted the paint on the wall, multi-billion dollar company. And I love that practice because it allows them to really think. And when I was looking for a community at the time, I couldn't find anyone who looked around and thought these crazy thoughts like me, or someone who would just recognize that there's opportunity everywhere. And I think that's what was missing. It was that there were not any outlets or communities for the thinkers. And if they did find those communities, it was filled with spam. It was something where, it was all about monetizing things. So a lot of the other Discord servers, they are all about making money, or they aren't active, or like I mentioned, the spam. So I recognized these things and I saw an opportunity to build Loqol. And Loqol is a multi-stage type of situation. My overall goal is to turn it into an accelerator where startups can get assistance with building their startups, and they can just get whatever free advice or knowledge that they need.
That's awesome. I assume this was a stepping stone. We have more. I have more questions on that because
All
you're
right.
building the foundation right now. I'm guessing this is the
Yes.
foundation phase one, and from starting other companies, I know you have a plan. So we're going to get into the plan here in a minute.
Okay.
But I want to ask, like, is your plan to stay entirely within Discord and or is there plans for expansion in the future? Are you going to start maybe a website with some kind of community? Like, is it plans to stay in Discord or are you ever going to expand into other channels with it?
Look at local as just entertain this idea. Look at local as a business.
Yeah.
Discord is the chat channel. It's like the
Mhm.
Slack, right? That's where
Sure.
we all chat. And we have YouTube channels that we're working on as well. We have been working on the development of a website, and coming up with a couple of iterations for it. So this will be it'll be an ecosystem where entrepreneurs can get educational resources. They can chat with other founders and creators. Um, they can interact with different types of startups that are out there, maybe get inspired.
Mhm.
And the goal is for this to become everything entrepreneurship and startup and founder. And hopefully, at some point, we will host in person events and maybe one day have conferences. That's the goal. Turn it into something large.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of kind of what Dave Ramsey's done with Ramsey Solutions in terms of he's built personal finance. He started, slowly just talking to people at his church, and then he
Mhm.
scaled it to now he's one of the biggest, huge hosts a lot of events. That'd be really
Yes.
exciting to see. Be
Oh,
really
yeah,
exciting. Be super
for
cool.
sure.
Let me ask you for the YouTube channel specifically. Starting on YouTube, we're on YouTube right now. By the way,
Mhm.
subscribe. Great plug. Everybody go and
Subscribe.
subscribe. But growing on YouTube's tough. Like it's very,
Yeah.
very hard. So, how do you plan with the YouTube channel? Because there's a reason you started it, right? Like part of this
Mhm.
ecosystem you're building. How do you plan on standing out on YouTube when it's so competitive with this type of content?
So we have two YouTube channels that we're working on, and each one serves a different purpose. We have one that is like top five certain things. Like, so one of the videos that we dropped was top five biggest startup failures. And oftentimes spend so much time watching videos like that, I don't even realize it, right? So the idea behind that, and I'm going to be completely honest because that's who I am. It's a cash cow. Like it's just for the cash. That
You have to make money somehow. You have
yeah,
to.
yeah, that one's for the cash. And then we have another one that will not be about money or monetization. It will be where we just post videos that where we can teach different things, entrepreneurship and startups. So it'll be very educational. It might be a talk and it might be something recorded that we had in Discord or something. And that's what that channel will be about. But because that first channel's format is something that has already been very successful, the goal is to really just monetize it, monetize it, monetize it, and don't recreate the wheel. You know, copy what's been going on and just go based on that. And then the other channel, it's not about money.
That's right. And you have, I mean, again, because local is a business, you have to make money somehow. I mean, if you're not charging for the Discord, if you're not charging for all these things, somehow you got to be funding the company. You know what I mean? I'm guessing that's kind of the plan for that YouTube channel, right?
Um, Somewhat, but yes, yes. It's not. So I want to make it very clear. It's not about the profits, but it's more so about making things run, right? And if someday we decide to structure local as a nonprofit, then it would be the same concept. Nonprofits still need money to make things go. So I want to make that very clear. It's not just about the money, but that channel, yes, it will assist in funding local and the endeavors.
That's awesome. With this ecosystem you're building, I think the biggest thing is a lot of people can start something and they can do really good at starting it. You've built a lot of hype, but how do you plan on keeping the community relevant over time?
Yeah, for sure. So that's been something that's actually been, I'm kind of facing that head on right now and realizing that, okay, the community isn't as active as when it started. And that's entirely on me. I take full responsibility for that because when I began the community, I was setting it on fire. And that's going to continue being the case, but um another reason that something like that may happen is because entrepreneurs will come and they will get what they need. You have to understand that we as entrepreneurs, we're really busy, and it's kind of like a book. It's like, okay, we'll read this book, but we don't always go back and reread the book unless it's been like years later, and we'll be like, oh, I still have this book. Let me go check it out again. So I think because of the nature of the group, I think that the retention is going to be very difficult to keep up with. We have to figure out a way, well, how can we not only provide value, but how can we make it entertaining for people to stick around? Um, but the how aspect of doing that, um, just continuing to gather feedback. I think I need to grow the staff team, um, and I might at some point just add more fire to the fuel or fuel to the fire, by just throwing more money into outreach. And but it all kind of circles back to the YouTube videos, making money from those if possible, and just figuring out a way to really fund it. Um, so until I go broke.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think it'd be, just to throw an idea out there thinking, I think it'd be really cool. When you join local, the experience I've gathered is it's very for startup founders. And that's
yes.
awesome. But like you said, they take what they need in that startup and they go out in
Mhm.
the world and do it, which is awesome. That's your goal. You want them to go apply it. I think what could be really cool is if you built structures in place to, after they have actually started scaling the company, how to then take it, like from 100,000 to a million. Like the scalability of that, if you had some kind of maybe videos or processes or systems within local, maybe that could keep that relevance because even if you're crushing it with the feedback they've gathered, now it's like, well, I'm still going back to learn how to scale. There's never an end to that process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That could be something really cool. Maybe I don't know.
No, absolutely. So that'll be a part of when the website gets published and we have those educational videos. Same with the YouTube channel. So, but you also have to understand that that won't necessarily directly sync with the community chat. So people can still watch those videos and never say a word. And that's likely to occur, likely to happen. So, but at the end of the day, the goal isn't to only keep the community engaged, because you have to think about it like this. Like, what's the point in keeping the community engaged if no one's receiving any more value? If if I've if you're already full and you've already eaten, why would you go to the restaurant? Or the lunchroom? Like, why? There's really no point. So I want to make sure we're not just inviting people to the lunchroom just because. I want to make sure that they are eating. I want to make sure they're nourished, and once they are, if you are good and you're off, selling, bye bye. Chat me in a year. That's fine by me.
That's really cool. You're kind of giving them a platform to build them up and then
Yeah,
send them off in the world. That's really cool.
exactly.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what do you think the market potential of this? Like, what is the ceiling? Is there a cap for how big you think local can get? Because obviously we are targeting a very niche person, I'm guessing, which is what startup entrepreneur. What would you say is your ideal customer?
Startups and founders.
Startup founders. How big do you think it can get? Like, how big is this market for the company?
Doesn't seem like such a big market, honestly, just in comparison to a lot of other markets that are out there. However, I think one thing that inevitably happens for any community, well, most communities that start like this, is that they transition into business. And a lot of people don't realize that business is completely different from being an entrepreneur or founder. Um, they can sometimes go hand in hand, but the business aspect, we're talking about, okay, real estate would be business. If you wanted to build a brick and mortar where you're selling clothes, it could be business. Um, but we really want things to be about innovation. We really want things to be about startups and just founders creating new things. So yes, it is a very niche market, and it's not it's not always about just growing through just local. Like, I don't care too much about local itself growing. I just want to make sure that the people who are introduced to local, the people who find local, the people who are looking to grow, I want to make sure we can help them. Local is an idea, in my opinion. It's an idea of just helping others. And sure, we can grow this idea, we can expand this idea, but there will be people who won't believe. So, um, yeah, it's about the founders, man. That's what it's really about.
I mean, for the audience out there, I definitely feel that love, and that's why I've really loved the community. I've met a lot of the guests. I would say most of the guests on the show is from local, just reaching out, and yeah, and the same way I wanted to provide a platform for free, because you have all these podcasts where you have to pay, and it's like, why? What is the point? I hate that. But to kind of go, the first thing I think of is for expansion. It's like you got this whole community of startup entrepreneurs. So wouldn't the next step, I guess in my head, I'm thinking the next step would be getting VCs and investors. Like, how do you plan on incorporating that to the community, or is there no, like, that's not going to happen? You don't plan on incorporating those type of people?
It will definitely happen. I mean, it already has. There are some VCs, some angel investors in the community that are there. However, a big part of local, or a big part of my responsibility, is I have like this internal motto that I use called protect the culture. And the goal is to protect the people from those bad actors, protect the community members from bad actors. That includes the investors, that includes the VCs. So the best way to really go about finding those investors or VCs is to have conversation in the community. Meet those people. Maybe they're sitting in a voice channel. Um, Maybe they're sitting in a chat or on a daily engagement or in an event. You just never know. And the more connections that you build, the easier it'll be to have that online networking aspect as well, where I could just be like, hey, AC, do you know of any investors in the group? And you could be like, I actually do. And, share that information. But bringing more in is a goal. It definitely is a goal.
Yeah, I didn't know if you would have, because I think just the process is you build this entrepreneur platform. you introduce angels and VCs, and then somehow you can connect those two bridges. Is
Hmm.
that or happen, or do you kind of the referrals is how you plan on doing that? I'm just trying to go further into this.
For sure.
And say,
No, no, it's not an issue at all. Um, I'd say if we had a member who
Mhm.
startup I'm familiar with, if they are looking for funding, I will have no problem letting them know who the investor is. But there are many cases where someone will join the community and they'll be like, "Hey guys, I just started this business. I'm looking for $100,000. I have no product. I've been thinking about this for a week, but I really want to speak with an investor so we can get investment, and I'll give them 5% of my idea,
Yeah,
and they'll make their money back in 20 years." Like, you got to think about it like this, right? So imagine everyone who asked that. I was like, oh man, speak with AC. He'll invest, or he's an investor. Think about how much time I just wasted on your end because I made that bad non-vetted referral, and now you're getting spammed because of things like it. And now, exactly, and now you're not going to want to stick around in local because there's a lot of subpar or non-realistic opportunities there as an investor. So it's important for that to be protected and actually just protected. Yeah.
yeah, that's very smart. Going forward, you mentioned in terms of bringing revenue to the company, because like you said, even if you decide to convert this to a nonprofit, it still has to be funded. It still has to make money to hire staff, all this, a lot of operation costs. So other than the YouTube channel, is there other plans for any type of revenue model for local? How do you plan on doing that?
Yeah, so at one point I was considering doing a membership that's not the it wouldn't replace the free access of local, but it'll be more so like that tight-knit group where they want to communicate. But I'm not sure if I will be continuing with that idea or moving forward with that idea. So I think overall it'll come down to partnerships and advertising. That's one thing I talk about a lot, partnerships. So it could be maybe a company wants a shout out. Maybe a company wants to host some huge special event or something, and we could do partnerships that way. But it's a double-edged, not necessarily sword, but like I don't know what the opposite of a sword would be. Um, on one end, yeah, I know,
I need
right?
a needle, I don't know, a thread maybe. I'm trying to think. The
The
needle. I don't
opposite
know.
of a sword. So on one end, the entrepreneurs are getting value because obviously I'd have to vet whatever partnerships come in. And then on the second end, whoever the sponsor is, they're also receiving value. So, um, whatever partnerships you decide to move forward with, the goal is to have it beneficial for the members of the community.
Absolutely. I'm curious. You built a community so fast, like it
Yeah.
happened. I mean, I'm guessing because again, I wasn't here from the very very beginning, but it was
Mhm.
very exponential. I've seen it grow. I think
Yeah.
1,800 members since I've joined. Like I was right at that 1,000, maybe 1,100 mark.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how did you get that initial boost? Like, how did you get? Because anybody, you start, even though you have all these connections, anybody can start a
Mhm.
Discord community. How did you get it
Yeah.
to jump so fast? That's my question.
Money. Money.
Okay, okay, pay to play. Okay,
Not even gonna sugarcoat it. Money. Um, so first, um, the first goal was to just go to other communities that are just like local or who started out like local and go through the chat, see who's actually working on something cool and see who's actually giving advice and see who's actually providing value or wanting value. Then I actually had this goal. I wanted to reach out and have 10 of those people join the community every single day. So I'd reach out to those people every single day. 10, 10, 10. That was the goal. I still have the screenshots of where I just get it every single day. And that was one method. That was one of the first methods. Second method was to partner with other Discord servers. So we do a shout for shout, letting people know, hey, here's the value that so and so provides, and then we do that vice versa. So partnerships, um, lower cost sponsorship. So in the tech startup community is another Discord server. I'd say lower barriers to entry and lower quality, but I also understood there were legitimate people in there. So I paid to have a sponsorship there, paid for a shout out as well. And then there are other platforms where you can list your Discord servers. So I posted them on there also. And I actually paid for a couple of those as well. And then we did a big campaign that brought us in about 1,000 different members from just it was $1,000 campaign, $1,000 sponsorship that I spent, and it brought in about 1,000 members. So
Well, if you don't mind me asking, what was that? Was it another Discord community, that sponsorship?
Um, oh man, I don't know if I want to give out the sauce. No, no, I'll share. No, it was a community board, the Hive Index, and definitely in my opinion provides a lot of value. Overall, we probably had around 1,500 people join our community. We had about maybe 2,500 clicks, and of that 1,500 people that joined, about 500 or so left because it wasn't the community for them. Um, and we've banned like 300 people, maybe 400, 500 people who
Yeah,
weren't a good
there's
fit.
that. Yeah, I've seen that to try to get those bad actors out. I've seen that.
Yeah, very protective of the culture. Very.
He is. He's very protective. He'll
Oh
make sure
yeah.
you're okay in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, what? Let me ask you, what is the current road? What's the roadmap for the company? You've built these last 4 months building Loqol. Where do we go? Let's say by the end of the year. Where's Loqol in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months?
So being completely transparent with everyone, and I feel like this is something us entrepreneurs should do as well, because sometimes we'll fabricate an answer that sounds good. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure. Like, and I'm not sure because I'm personally recognizing that it's okay to live in the moment. And again, that's something that traveling's taught me. And I don't have to reach certain milestones. I don't have to, rush anything. And I don't know what it's going to look like. Just being completely truthful with you. Don't know. But I definitely see it. I definitely see it going further. And I definitely see the value increasing and I see it growing. But I can't really give you a roadmap for it.
Yeah,
I
you're just
don't
like
know.
build it the right way, and kind of whatever happens, it'll do it right. Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. And just see where things go. When I'm dating, I hate when women tell me just go with the flow, like, but that's what we're doing.
He's going with the flow. That's
Go with the
funny.
flow.
Go with the flow. Um,
Yeah,
so
I feel like I haven't
as
been answering any of your questions.
No, I feel like you have it. Honestly, the biggest thing is and I think the audience just feel this. It's a different way to look at things. Like just the analogy of like looking at that and realizing that that's a business. I think it's probably opened up like a lot of light bulbs went off. It's because again, I think some people think they have to have this Facebook, Google idea to start a successful business, but we both know that's not true. I mean, you can start the exact heat and air company. You can start another heat and air company and still make tons of money and be very successful, what we consider successful, just by being a little bit better at marketing, being a little bit better at delivering that value to customers, setting expectations. I think people think there's all these secret things you have to start, but you're building an entrepreneur community. It's been done before. So why is yours being successful? Because you're doing it thoughtfully and you're marketing the right way.
I
And
utilize the other ones that have already built it.
yeah, and you're
So
seeing what they did, what you didn't like about them, and improving
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to share something. I want to share a quick story if you don't mind. Um, when I actually started my first startup, that was me. It was like, oh, I got to do something new. Nobody can be doing what I'm doing. I'm going to do it different. I'm going to do it better. I'm going to be the best. Right. And if there were any other ideas introduced to me where like someone's like, oh, let's create a water bottle company. Like, nah, there's already water bottle companies out there. I want something new, something unique. And it's funny. I had a conversation with this very successful gentleman, and he was just asking me, well, why don't you start this company or that company? You're really good at these things. And I'm like, nah, it's because there are so many other people doing it. And he convinced me that it is okay to do something simple, something that's already started. So because of that, I that's actually what introduced me to the lifestyle that I live now. I built a web agency, scaled it to six figures within 1 year, and still have employees. But within that 1 year, I started traveling right away. I started doing all of these different things right away. And that was okay. Because now that I have the money and now that I have the business knowledge and understanding, I can now build whatever startups I want to. But because I was so stubborn and stuck in my ways and wanting to do something completely different, you know, um, that's where that's where it became a different story for me. And one thing that really clicked with me is that when you build something new, you have to convince the world to believe in it. But when you have something that's already understood and accepted by the world, most of your time is going to be spent just delivering the product.
Wow. Wow, that is so powerful. I don't know if anybody that's trying to get value of that. That is super important. And, this model of building this is I've seen this is a very common model. You build an agency, you build it to, like you said, six figures. A lot of people then sell it and they build something new. There's a founder of acquire.com where
Hmm.
you can, acquire companies, exact same model. So started an agency that quote unquote everybody had done. It allowed him to get that freedom, and then with that freedom, then he built something brand new. That is a very common model that I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't think about. Like that's
Yeah.
you have to have some freedom before you can take a leap and take your time.
To your earlier point of our entrepreneurs built or are they, I guess you said built or born or something like that.
Yeah, born
But
or made. Yeah, yeah, born or
born
made.
or made, there we go, born or made. To your point there, just once you I think so many people are passionate about the product or what they create that they don't understand that there is a whole business aspect to it. I mean, even if you watch Shark Tank, like I'm sure a lot of your viewers watch Shark Tank. One of the biggest things that they talk about is, we have this awesome product, we built it, but we don't know anything about business. We need somebody who can help us with that. And I think so many founders don't understand that you have to get that business knowledge or that business understanding. The CEO, well, the founder of Twitter, he said he was a terrible CEO because he didn't have that business knowledge. He only knew about building the product itself. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that so many people are technicians, they're engineers, they could build new things, but they don't spend the time to get the experience or the freedom or the money that it comes with actually building up the business around the product or creation.
Yeah, and when you're constantly worried about income coming in, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on the product. It forces you to hit these deadlines or these constraints that otherwise, if you just spent a couple more months because you had the flexibility, it'd have been a much better product, and potentially your release could have been way better. Of that product.
That's a biggest mistake I see amongst startup founders. Everyone likes to just tweak their product. Tweak it. Well, did you run ads? Not yet. I'm just gonna tweak this. Well, did you get your first client or have that conversation? Not yet. I'm just gonna tweak this. Oh my gosh, I don't know why this isn't working. I need money.
I know. Well, it's focusing on and I think maybe you'd agree with this. There's a time and place for everything. There's definitely a time where you take the time to focus on the product, and I feel like with as a tech founder, they're so smart. Like tech founders out there, again, I'm coming from business background, but The
Yeah.
tech founders are so smart and they build fantastic products, like you said. But there's a point where you cut off your product side. And now
Hmm.
it's like, I need people to test this. I need to get this as many hands as customers as possible. And it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something to build on. But what is the least, I guess, the minimal viable product that I can charge $1 for that people will
Hmm.
actually, because people all day will say your product's great, but are they paying for it? That's when
Yes.
you
Oh
know what I
my
mean?
gosh. Yes. That's a very big one. People will tell you constantly that it's great. And when they do, you should tell them, all right, great. Are you willing to be my first customer? Right
Yeah, and
there
then
on the
and then
spot.
you'll
Oh yeah.
see.
You'll see for sure.
Yeah,
So
so I would challenge the tech founders out there. It's y'all are so smart. It's just like that last piece of the pie is just get
yeah.
people to use it. Well, finally with local, kind of the last question is as the company grows, what you even mentioned this previously, building an important staff team and
Mhm.
employees that are really going to help foster that growth. How do you plan on selecting these individuals that are really going to continue to? Because again, you can't be a one man show forever. You have to put
Oh,
these
for
people in
sure.
place. So how do you plan on picking those people to then propel the success of the company?
For sure. So I think that starts with understanding systems. I think that comes with and what I like about local is that, it's a startup within itself. So it's about understanding systems. It's about understanding the community that you've built, making sure you understand the culture that's going on there. I also believe that it's important to know everything about your community as well. And once you do that, sure, it is about the people, but the reason that I've built so many successful companies or startups is because I systemize them. And when you could create an SOP or a system around whatever you're building or whatever company that you're working on, then that's what's oftentimes important, unless you're doing something where you're hiring someone for their creative aspect. But when it comes to the staff team to get something done, well, I got to be good at that first to make sure that, I can tell someone else how to do it. So moderation, it kind of coders will get this if, then this. And, if they do this, then you do this. So it'll be that simple. I don't think that'll be much of an issue at all.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any further questions. Would you like to
Hmm.
tell the audience anything? Obviously, check out Discord. It's in the
Yeah,
description. But do you have anything else you think the audience, just from our conversation, the audience could learn from?
for sure. So that last point that I made about just, hiring a great team, another thing that so many of us founders make mistakes on is that we spend so much time trying to hire people and then teaching them to do something, or we'll hire them and tell them to figure it out when what we need to do is hire people who are smarter than us at said thing that we're hiring them for. And that's important because, I can't grow my business if I'm teaching you how to market it for me, when in reality, I hired you so that you could be the one that teaches me or makes the marketing strategy better. So that's the big piece of advice, just in reference to, our last breakaway. The last part of that as well, when I talked about systemizing things, there's a couple of books that I love to read, well, that I love reading, and there are three that I'll share, if you don't mind. Um, One is E-Myth Revisited. It talks about franchises and being able to build a model for your business. So if you wanted to take that and share it with someone else, they'd be able to build that same business with nothing different. And there's another one called Systemology. It teaches you all about systems. It teaches you about different softwares that you can utilize when building up your companies or your startups. Very great book, in my opinion. And then the third one is Built to Sell. That's a conversation a lot of people who fall in love with their products um, are uncomfortable with, and selling your business. But if you do plan to sell your business, you do need to make sure everything's structured, there's a system behind it, and that if you step away, your business can still run successfully.
Well, that's really cool. Well, please plug Loqol. Where can they find you? Where can they find the community?
Loqol.io.
Local.io.
LOQOL.io.
We're going to put it on screen. Everybody down below, go join if you're a startup founder. If you're watching this video, most likely you have some interest. So everybody go check it down below. I just want to say, Kevon, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you speaking to the audience. I think that there's a lot of takeaways, and I just thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure. I appreciate you for inviting me.